Thank you. Appreciate it. Nobody ever told me that I have pretty writing. It's usually it's usually sloppy. My writing's so sloppy. Wow. I might have to give you an A in just in principle. Alone. Wow. No, you don't. Now you're just lying. Now you're just lying. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put my X term first because that's kind of proper to do it. And then I got my positive 8 or plus 8, right? Now, we're just isolating the variable. That's what I did. Y is by itself. So I'm done. I don't really care what this side looks like at this point when I'm isolating variables.
How come? How come you don't subtract? How come you don't subtract the 87
Because
to get one
these are
x?
unlike terms. If this was an 8x, then I could do it.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
They're
Yeah.
unlike terms. Number two, it what formula is this? Is this principal rate time? I don't know. Anyway, it says solve for t. So I'm going to circle my t. I need to get that guy by itself. Okay. So that means I have to get rid of the p and the r. So yeah, divide, because this is all multiplication, right? So I'm just going to divide what I don't want, and that's the p and the r. Okay. Remember to do it to both sides of the equation. So I have I, or L, don't know what it is, divided by P R. That's good. These cancel, and I get my T. Okay, number three, want us to solve for X. I'm going to circle my X. Well, it's kind of stuck to that 11. That 11's a coefficient, right? So I'm going to circle this whole term. So I'm going to add 9y to both sides. And again, I'm going to set this off to the side because they're unlike terms. So I'm going to just put it off over here. These cancel out. I have my 11x equals. And again, I'm going to put my variable term first. You know, you don't, if you put it second, I'm not going to take points off, okay? Because the concept here is solving for isolating the variable, not whether you can put this in the proper order. Okay, so I got a positive 9y, and then I have a minus 4, negative 4. Still have to get that x by itself. Going to divide by that coefficient, 11. Now be careful, you have two terms here. And again, since I'm not going to be all that concerned about simplifying the right hand side in this case, I'm just going to divide the whole thing by 11. So I get x equals 9y minus 4 all divided by 11. I don't really care, again, what that looks like at this point, as long as I get that x by itself. Number 4. Okay, says solve for y. Well, actually, I've got two y's here, right? I've got this y, and I'm going to go ahead and circle this y. Right? It means I have to isolate those y's. Any suggestions here? Yeah, Gunner.
Divide by x.
Okay. So if I divide by x, I have to divide every term by x, right? So these x's cancel. I get y minus y divided by x equals 10 over x. Almost looks like it's worse, doesn't it? That's really not going to help us. That's good try, though. I mean, that's what I would have done right off the bat. But that looks like it's really going to make things even more complicated. Anybody else have any ideas? Yeah.
What if you divide by y?
Okay, so we want to divide every term by y.
Oh well. You don't divide the negative y because it's on the same side.
But if I divide this term by y, I have to divide every term by y.
You do?
Yeah. Otherwise, the value changes.
Alright.
So you don't want to do that. You're close, actually, with the division. Anybody else?
Divide the whole thing by x.
We did that.
Oh,
Didn't we do that with Gunner?
Yeah, we did. Maybe add
The division
one.
was close, right? We got another idea? We got an idea.
Yes.
During the left side, we do y times x negative one.
Wow. You're the first student that ever did this. I'm so happy.
It was.
So I got to take out a y. I'm actually dividing. I'm taking out a y. I'm just going to change the way this looks. Okay. I'm not going to change the value. I'm going to take the y out of both of these terms. And what I have left, well, I'm taking the xy and dividing it by y, I get an x. And if I take the y divided by y, I get a 1. I'm not changing anything. I'm just taking my distributive property. If I were to multiply this back out, I'd get this, right? If I use a distributive property. So I'm not changing the value of this. I'm just applying a property to it. Does everyone see that? I'm using the distributive property backwards. Instead of multiplying through, I'm dividing that out. Okay. Now look what I have. Since when I put parentheses around the x plus minus 1, I locked that in there. Okay, I made it a quantity. Do you see what I did? You understand that? I actually divided each one of these. I used the distributive property backwards. All right, now that I put this in parentheses, it's forcing PEMDAS to say, hey, that's one number. PEMDAS is forcing that as one number. So now I got one number times y. So I only have multiplication now. I don't have the subtraction in between. So I can actually, since there's multiplication between all of this, between these two numbers, I can divide by the x minus 1. Yeah, they just cancel out. And look at that. I get my y by itself. And I get 10 divided by the quantity x minus 1. Now I got my y by itself. So when you have to solve for a variable that's in two terms, chances are you're going to have to, well, we call it undistribute, but there's no such thing. But that's what it's a good term that sticks. Okay, you're using the distributive property backwards. Okay, number 5. Got to solve for A. Well, here I have an A, and here I have an A. So you're probably saying to yourself, well, Mr. D just told us that when we have a variable in two terms, we're probably going to have to use that undistributed property, right?
Can't do that because they're not on the same side.
Yeah, they're not on the same side here. Okay. So the first thing we have to do, get them on the same side, right? Then we can do it. Good. So here I'm going to subtract. Oh, it doesn't really matter. I could bring this over here and bring the 4 over, or I could just minus 5A. And again, A times B is not the same as 5 times A. So I'm going to put it off to the side here. Negative 5A. Okay, so I have, now I'm even going to put the AB first because this is negative. This is a minus sign. If it was positive, it probably wouldn't matter which order. It's just going to make it a little bit easier if I have the positive one first. So I have AB minus 5A equals, those cancel out, positive 4. Now I have my capital A's on the same side. Now I can use that undistribute property thing. Right? So I can take out an A. And what I'm actually doing, instead of multiplying, I'm dividing. So AB divided by A leaves me with B. 5A divided by A is 5. Now I can do it. Now I got two numbers being multiplied together. So I'm going to divide by the number I don't want, which is the quantity B minus 5. I have to do it to both sides. And that leaves me with A equals 4 over B minus 5. Okay, number 6. We got to solve for little b. And here's my little b in the locked up here in the numerator, right? So I got to get rid of that fraction to get to that b. There's no way I can get to that b unless I get rid of that 5. So to get rid of that 5, what am I going to do? Yep, multiply both sides by 5. So my 5's cancel out. And I get my little b plus 3a equals 5 times 4 is 20. And this becomes a simple two-step equation. Oh, actually, one more step, right? Because we're little b. So I'm going to subtract 3a from both sides. I should do this off to the side. And I get b. And again, I'm going to put the variable term first. Negative 3a plus 20. If you put it second, I'm surely at this point not going to take points off. And then lastly, of course, here's these formula. There's these formulas I'm talking about, where we like to maybe change things around and look for different dimensions. Okay. The volume of the given pyramid is found by V equals 1/3 length times width. Rewrite the formula by isolating the height. So we have to isolate the height. So we have to get h by itself, right? I'm going to get rid of that fraction first. I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by 3. You with me? So I got 3v equals, since this is all multiplication, this will cancel out. So I have L, length, times width, times height. I have all multiplication here, so I can divide by what I don't want, which is the L and the W. I get my height off by itself. That's going to equal 3v all over length times width. That wasn't too bad. So I got h by itself. I solved that. Find the height of the pyramid with the volume 240, length 10, and width of 9. So if I plug all of these in to over here, that will give me the height, right? So my volume is 240. So I have 3 times the volume, which is 240. That's my V, right? Divided by my length. Let's see. Length is 10. So my length is 10 times my W. Let's see, my W is 9. And that's going to equal my height, right? Okay, should be able to figure this out. 3 times 240. 720, good, thank you. All over 90. That's going to equal my height. And then 720 divided by 90 is 8. So my height equals 8. Now be careful. Remember what I said in Algebra 2? We need our labels. So we have centimeters, and we're dealing with volume, right? So it's centimeters cubed.